Hey everybody, welcome to my shop. You can see behind me I've got my circuit board for CS-11M. In these videos I'm going to show you how to build the circuit board for yourself. Just in case you missed some of the details in class, you can always come back here and see how I did it. RDX version 1.3 looks like when it's built. You can see that the PCB or the breadboard is firmly glued down onto the plate, and the Arduino Uno is mounted just below with the USB facing left. The USB can be facing right too, you just have to adjust the instructions. I happen to have built this one backwards. If you can see that, you can read breadboard and Arduino on the back. They're not backwards like they should be. And that means that I could only really get these two screws into the Arduino. And the other screws don't fit because, well, I glued the breadboard on upside down. Well, it's not a disaster. You got to put one screw in with the head down like this, and then the other screw in with the head up. And then you got to clip the extra piece of screw off the end, which is pretty easy because the screw is nylon. If you look at a properly built board, like this one, you can see that I have two screws that fit nicely in, and I could put a third screw in if I wanted to, or a fourth screw in if I wanted to. I just didn't. So if you build it right, you should see the breadboard and Arduino actually look upside down, or actually look backwards when you build it. Okay, so let's take a look at how a breadboard works. A breadboard is just a simple way to wire things together so that you can kind of take them apart and rewire them again easily. The breadboard works because it has wires that go down each one of these slots in this direction. So all of row 30 here, A, B, C, D, and E, are wired together. And then there's a break, and then in row 30, F, G, H, I, and J are wired together. So anything you plug into this hole is going to be electrically connected to whatever you plug into any of these other holes. The holes across the break are not connected, and that's useful for reasons that you're going to see later. This breadboard is kind of one of the nice deluxe models, and what that means is you've got these wires going across here, or these holes going across here, which instead of running up and down, they run left to right. So all of the top row that's labeled with the plus is connected, and all of the bottom row, which is labeled with the minus, is connected, and same for the top and the bottom. It's important to note that the top is not connected to the bottom, so we're going to have to do that ourselves. Another really good thing to notice is that, well, just because it says plus and minus doesn't mean you have to wire it that way. But you should be careful to wire it that way because that's an important reminder to you which polarity is which. So we're going to be sure to wire it that way, and that's going to be the first thing we do when we start off. All right, we're going to start by wiring the power and the ground, or 5 volts and ground, to our breadboard. So I'm going to I like to use red and black for power and ground because those are kind of traditional colors. The color of the wire really doesn't matter. They happen to remind me what's what, so I like to kind of stick to my color scheme. So I'm going to put the red wire into the 5 volt pin right there, you can see. And the black wire can go into either of these two marked G and D for ground. Then I'm just going to run them on over to the plus and the minus on the breadboard. Okay, and what this does is it now connects the 5 volts from the Arduino to all of the plus wires here, and the ground from the Arduino to all of the minus wires here. I also want to connect the top, so I'm going to do separate wires over here on the left. I'm going to connect the top to power and ground. And now we're kind of ready to start wiring up our circuit.